Morning, everyone. I wanted to come on and just briefly talk about, I'm going to call it what's in a name. So, the name of a diagnosis. So, sometimes we get very caught up on the name of a diagnosis or what a diagnosis is called. So, what I mean by this is it can sound very scary with certain diagnoses when you get the name. So I'm thinking of things like hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, IVDD or intervertebral disc disease, degenerative disc disease, arthritis. They all sound really scary, but there is a broad range of what they mean. The diagnosis could come by accident or it could be incidental if your dog has an x-ray for something else and then they tell you they found degenerative joint disease, and that just sounds awful, right? Degeneration, something's falling apart or crumbling, but it could be very mild or it could be something more extreme. But I think it's very easy to get scared by those words because they sound scary. Hip dysplasia is one of those things that I find that are often found by accident on x-ray when a dog might go in for a stifle or a knee x-ray. And the owner had no idea it was ever there. There weren't really any signs or symptoms, but now they're like, oh my God, my dog's got this knee problem, but then they've got this hip problem too, when really it's not significant in their day-to-day life. They're still carrying on just fine, but there isn't that explanation of what that finding actually meant. And there is a great term for this. It's called VOMIT, which is victim of medical information technology, I think is what it's called. But basically you hear this bad word and it makes you want to vomit because it sounds so scary. Certainly there are things that we definitely need to know. We need to know the names, but we need to be careful with the language and how scary we make it sound. And the other thing that I find we get very caught up on finding names for are muscle strains and ligament sprains and things like that, where we're really, really wanting to find a diagnosis and find a name, when really from my point of view as a physio and rehab therapist, it doesn't always matter what we call it. And I would say this is probably not the norm for a lot of diagnoses. We need to figure out what it is and what caused it. But for muscle stuff, as long as we're not doing the same thing over and over again that caused it, it's not so important to find out exactly what is wrong, because we're going to be doing the same things to treat it. We're going to be trying to get the dog out of pain, get them back on the leg again, get them using those muscles again, and building it up to a tolerance point that they're not going to keep injuring themselves. So all of this to say that we shouldn't be scared by words. We need to be more careful with words and more precise with our words so that we're not scaring owners and scaring them into doing things that they should or shouldn't be doing. So if we're giving them scary diagnoses like degenerative joint disease, which really is arthritis, which at some point can start very mild, we're not stopping them from doing the things that are actually going to make their dogs better, like still taking them out for a walk, still getting them up and moving, and not halting all activity. So that's my thoughts for today. Let me know if you have been scared by words that have been thrown at you by professionals. Curious to hear it. Have a great day. Cheers.